Turnitin or Authenticate, you can actually set that how many consecutive words you want actually to set as the threshold for the detection process. Exactly. Now that is actually something which is so bizarre, okay? Though this is something which is a good initial indication that whether there are, contents which are verbatim copied from other sources. But the challenge is that there are, in scientific writing, there are terminologies, there are equations that are very similar. And just using a synonym is actually, allowing you to bypass that particular system. Now, that is not the best approach. The best approach is, empowering people, giving people this, mental capacity really to think that, write what you have understood rather than, try to copy and paste. So that is where, the main emphasis should be rather than, just try to see that what is the similarity. And also, whenever there are similarities, it is very important as we educators, to go and open. So whenever something is flagged, that, this is something which is like 20%, 30%, or whatever it is. Now, most often, I'm sure that, you people also have experienced this, that whenever you open the report, you see that there are certain, the headers, footers, and other things, the acknowledgement statement, some of the conclusions and the scientific terminologies, the equations. These are also a part of the similarity score that is contributing, to the additive similarity score. That is why that is something which needs to be thoroughly, manually checked before, really trying to depend 100% or rely 100% on the similarity score. Now, this is also because, that being a part of several conference organizers with several different publishers, and also, editors in several journals. So this is something which, we are seeing increasingly as a matter of concern. Now this is about the similarity. Now when it comes to AI, now majority of the journals and leading conferences, for example, if you think the CVPR, the ICCV, NeuroApes, ACL, ICLR, all these leading conferences, they already have accepted that, for language editing, you can allow generative AI-based tools. For language editing, not for content generation. Okay, so you cannot ask that, write this for me. You have written something, you can say that, fix the grammatical mistakes of this particular content. Now, what is the difference?
Contribution is worse.
No, but what is the difference in the terms that, from the technical perspective, I'm saying that if a content is generated by AI and a content is rewritten by AI, if you are passing it through an AI detector, it would say that both of them are generated by AI. And that is where now this has become one of the largest challenges in scientific writing, that shall we actually rely on the AI detection tools? Because, now these AI tools that we have currently are unable actually to 100% identify what is absolutely written by AI and what is language edited by AI.
It actually consider both the same level.
Exactly.
So
Therefore, this makes the life of us academics very challenging. Because when these conferences are saying that language editing is allowed, we cannot really understand that whether it is language edited or AI generated, because both of them are eventually AI generated.
So Mufti, the academic integrity section here, this last one here, using AI to change text or images to avoid plagiarism detection or translate text written for written assessments, to provide a false indication of linguistic ability. So in the student perspective, that's saying it isn't allowed to use it for changing your linguistic ability. I think grammar checking may be, but that is
Now, there is something which is from the higher education perspective. But well, what I was mentioning,
Yeah,
Nick,
yeah.
is from the scientific writing perspective, which are for, communicating your research through papers, in conferences
Yes.
and all. But yes, that is why, to mitigate that particular challenge, when we are expecting students to write assignments, when we are expecting students to write their theses, say that, well, for checking grammar, use the other tools. Do not feed your material to generative AI and ask it to rewrite. Okay? So that is something which is discouraged. Right? Because then it is something which is not actually representing someone's ability to write. Okay? And well, the scientific publishing, for example, paper writing, is something different than, when we are talking about assessments. Within the assessment, at the university level, the guideline is very clear that, well, do not change your ability to represent a language, but well, of course, you can do spelling checks, okay? So there are systems which can help you to correct your spelling mistakes, which can help you, correct the initial grammar checks, because, well, I, being a non-English native speaker, I still find it difficult sometimes in a sentence, in a complex sentence, whether a verb should be singular or plural. Okay, so this is something which is there. Sometimes, while using some of the features that are built in Microsoft Word, okay, which helps you to correct your grammar, or, while using some other tools such as Grammarly, there is something which can help you, to fix your, in certain sense, the sentence formulation, which are grammatically correct. But not really asking them to write the content for you, that is something which within the assessment perspective is not encouraged. Okay? So now, just to give you a one-line answer, we still do not have exact number in terms of percentage that, well, in scientific papers, how much is acceptable. There are different publishers, they are coming with different numbers, but well, from the academics perspective, we do not see a value to those numbers that are being given. Because as academics, we find it extremely difficult to differentiate between the two scenarios that I told you. That's something which is completely written by AI, and something, given a text to AI and asking it to completely rewrite that text. So they both are exactly the same in terms of, I didn't saying that this is something which is done. Though the second one is allowed in many conferences, in many journals, because they consider it to be language editing, while the first one is not.
Thank you so much.
So Mufti, I've been reading that Gen AI has a tendency to overuse specific words quite frequently. And I think that might be that might be a method of assessing how much AI has been used in generation of the work. I don't know. Do you have any further reference?
Absolutely, and that is also something which is a very, very valid point, because that, well, how generative AI, again, we need to go back to the architecture of the models, that how these models actually create content. Now the large language models, okay, they have got specific semantic approaches for formulation of sentences, okay? Now only a human, after reading the text, will probably be able to understand that this is something which probably is coming from generative AI because of some over usage of certain words, which we human, as we know, that in general cases, we wouldn't probably use that particular word in that particular scenario. Okay, so these are some of the signs. For example, they use a lot of dash, while they try to connect words.
Bullets as well.
Lots of bullet points, exactly. And well, every paragraph, usually whenever it is generated by AI, comes with a header, you know, a heading, bold heading statement, and then comes later on. So, so there are certain signs, but can we consider those signs as absolute? No. Even, you know, that while there has been a lot of debate, people have said that while who are linguistically very efficient, okay, in their writing, eloquent, they have said that they have written an article without using any generative AI, but when they have passed it through the generative AI checker, it says that over 90% of the content is written by AI.
He denied his contribution.
So exactly, so that is, you know, well, that's the challenge that we as, you know, developer of technologies are now facing. So how can we actually improve that particular situation, mitigate that scenario, make these large language models, you know, more prudent to, you know, well, do something which shouldn't probably be done within an academic setting. And of course, this is something which comes through only building awareness, you know, showing what is allowed, what is not allowed, because, well, it is the morality that we can actually promote, because the tools that we currently have will not be able to give us a 100%, you know, checkpoint to say that, well, yes, this is something which 100% I can say is generated by AI.
Thank you, Mufti.
You're welcome.
So we've been through this AI for students quite a lot. We could dip into another one or two of them if you want, or and maybe we should do one last one before lunch. So what's left? So we've got limitations of AI, referencing, AI use of
A little bit lower, please.
this.
Yeah. This AI used with old hardware or core.
Yes,
What is
yes,
it? Yeah.
yes. Let's have a look at that. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, should we do this one before lunch and then
Yeah.
carry on after lunch after you've all had a nice lunch and break? Yes? Okay.
So I'm not going to read it all. It's saying what matters is how you use AI. And yes, if you're using an AI on a server, then it's purely a matter of how rapid your connection is to the server, and you get the response back from there. Memory is saying 4 gig AI can still function, but only for short responses. If we go and have a look at the other one here, which was AI on older hardware. All right, yeah. So that was using AI locally. Yeah. So yeah. AI on older hardware, that should be pretty reasonable to use generally. Applications like Ollama, LM Studio, GPT-4, they run locally, and that's going to be a struggle for you, definitely. Using AI on low bandwidth, this is the issue here, really, isn't it, largely? So the best solution is one that runs locally on your own device, but then you need a powerful device if you're going to run it locally. If you need to use an AI online with slow or limited internet, simple text-only chat AI is the best option. Sending small amounts of data. Using mobile app instead of a full web interface can help. AI tools rely on images, voice conversations, video, or constant web searching are bad for low bandwidth connections. I mean, I never use anything other than just the odd text. I think talking and so on, it's pointless. And the conclusion here a summary. Slow internet, an older computer, and no ability to upgrade. Running a small AI directly on your machine is often the best option. Useful everyday tool which fits the reality of your hardware rather than fighting against it. If your internet is slow but usable, then a basic text-only chat AI with extra features turned off will usually work fine.
Going to go with the small quiz. Is there an end?
Making the most of your setup for Gen AI. Let's attempt this quiz.
Again, maybe quiz after lunch. Yeah, well, we can do the quiz after lunch. Because it is almost lunch, yes.
Okay, we won't do the quiz now.
Yeah, because we'll continue with this session after lunch as well.
Oh, another, this session will continue.
Well, so we've then got the Athena's one bit as well. So we're on half an hour before it's now. You can have another 10, 20, 30 minutes.
Thank you, Nick, for presenting a very interesting topic. What I raised at the beginning, what is the relationship this accessibility and generative AI? So there is a relationship, obviously.
Yeah, and I suppose the benefit. I suppose the benefit of AI, using AI for accessibility, is that you can use multimodal methods of input
So these are the guidelines for staff and students, but then, of course, you can use generative AI with your original course material to make it concise, to make it in different formats for different students, to add diagrams, pictograms, to really reduce the weight of text for people with reading difficulties. So there's guidelines how you use it in teaching research, but also guidelines about how you can use it to generate not fictitious course content, but course content based on your original IP-owned course content that you produce in different ways or more concisely to help support students learn better. And they're the two uses.
Maybe that's a course that is missing at the moment, is using AI for accessibility.
We're not asking you to generate new course content for you, which is, making up references and stuff. It might take your existing Professor Saif al-Islam excellent course on some computer systems work and just make it perhaps more concise, or produce it in different formats for students with different abilities as well. That would be acceptable, I think. Okay, everybody, so I think it's lunchtime. I don't know if any of the organizers want to, Mustafis, or do you have a...
What is lunch?
What is lunch?
What is lunch?
Okay, so it's lunch. We have an hour. And now we'll come back and we'll finish the rest of generative AI.
2 o'clock, okay?
2 o'clock.
Please start at 2 o'clock.
We have a full hour for lunch.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Let's clap ourselves. Don't say that into my